You are now tuned to BS3 Network. Welcome back to another edition of the Fourcast. Let's bring our fourth member on.
Yeah, I should have been on. Hey, what you talking about? Bring me on? Shit, I should have been on. Nigga, hell, I thought I told you. Didn't nobody come to see you, Otis? Hell.
You got master controls. I thought you would have brought your stuff on.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Bring back my check. Come on, A-Trap. You the rapper. Go hit him with a little freestyle, baby. Man. Give him something. Give him something. Eat. For Black History Month. I am happy. Remember that? 50 years ago.
Yes.
A great American.
No, but wait a minute.
All right, welcome to the Fourcast. We review movies, films, documentaries a completely different way, 4 different perspectives. Coming at you live tonight as we continue our music review month. We got another great one tonight, The Honorable Shyne, which is available on Hulu. Definitely one of those that I was looking forward to watching. It's been out for actually a couple of months. I think it came out in like November. But let's just kind of go around the room, check in with everybody. Wilkes, how you doing?
Good. Doing all right.
Dog in the background.
Of course, she's here.
Doc, how you doing?
I am fantastic. Blame Man Talk Mondays for my tardiness. They had a hell of a show tonight. So
yeah, definitely shout out to them. And what's up, A-Trap?
Good, man.
Good to see y'all. All right, so The Honorable Shyne, which is, we kind of get into some initial thoughts. I felt like was a really solid documentary, kind of diving deep into some of those things that we wanted to know, his perspective on what happened, with the club shooting, what happened to him after he got released. And Shyne was one of those kind of rappers that when he got sentenced, so when he was in jail, I was, following along, seeing what he was doing when he was going to get released, because his music was just so good, and for it to be taken away, it was sad kind of how everything went down. But A-Trap, man, initial thoughts. I know you a hip hop guy, so
I really enjoyed it. I was glad to see that he landed on his feet, and it was wonderful how he stuck to the man code. Speaking of man talk Monday, he stuck to the code, and he's still sticking to the code. A lot of people say it's to his detriment, but it's at some point it has to be, as they said in the movie Malcolm X, man live by his rep, and he kept his rep intact. A lot of people, oh man, that's stupid. I would have snitched. No, if you're gonna do something, you do it, and the consequences, let the chips fall where they may, or don't do what you think you need to do.
Yeah.
So it was something I embraced.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said in the documentary, it's like I don't have a choice. Like if somebody's pulling their gun on me, and I'm trying to do what I need to do so I can walk out of here, alive. I did what I had to do. Wilkes.
Yeah, no, when I heard that they had a documentary on this, I was on him and talking about that and kind of where he landed. But yeah, he was taking off, man. He was quick. It was just like, man, who is this?
It was like overnight.
Yeah, it was like to the top. I was like, dang. But I think he was even on award shows before they really just initially dropped an actual album. It was like, damn. So, but yeah, it was good to see. I really enjoyed it. It was pretty solid. I had watched it a few weeks ago when I think it was a half day I had to work, but no, it was really good. Because at first I was like, oh, I'll just start the first like 5 minutes, but next thing you know, it was like 30 minutes. So I was like, man, might as well keep going. But no, it was done very well. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right, Doc.
Yeah, I'll do my little plot overview. So the Honorable Shyne tells the remarkable story of Moses Shyne Barrow, the Grammy award-winning musician turned politician. A rising star in the late 1990s, Shyne's promising rap career was cut short after being charged in a high-profile New York nightclub shooting, along with rap impresario Sean Puffy Combs. Shyne was convicted in 2001. Shyne was convicted in 2001 and sentenced to 10 years in prison, while Combs was acquitted. After prison, Shyne re-emerged in his native Belize, where he transitioned from music to politics, ultimately becoming the leader of the opposition party. His journey is one of redemption, resilience, and transformation. The documentary provides an intimate look at Shyne's personal evolution as he navigates fame, incarceration, and a return home to Belize, where he finds new purpose. For me individually, I got to tell you, this was in, I think we all have what's called dark periods in our lives, meaning not that what we were doing was dark, but the fact that we were blind to some things that were going on that may have been in pop culture or the mainstream. This falls there for me. Like I was not aware of Shyne at all. I was on some other stuff in the late 1990s, probably heavily involved in my young family and coaching and running nonprofit organizations and things of that nature. So I probably didn't have a lot of time to, pay attention to music and Grammys and all that kind of stuff. And in all honesty, I've never been much of a Puff Diddy fan. So other than Biggie, probably anything that he had to do with, I probably wasn't doing much of anything anyway. So I think the only song that I even knew or recognized, should I say, based on what they played in the documentary and some of the little research I did on my own, was Bad Boys featuring Barrington Levy. That's really the only recognized song I heard or I saw in this documentary, and it seems to be the most popular from what I can tell.
Yeah. And so the 90s, 2000s, like Bad Boy had it on lock. They had the female singer, they had Faith, they had 112, they had obviously Biggie, Mace. I mean, anything they were dropping, and then he dropped Puff Daddy and the Family and all these different. So that was the era. So when he signed to the Bad Boy and dropped that song, I mean, it just, like they said, it just blew up. But I hear what you're saying, Doc. All right, so let's get to a couple comments. DJ Don in the building says, good evening, gentlemen. Appreciate you for tuning in. We're live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. Roku TV, BS3 TV.
I'm gonna call him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay.
Yeah. Now it opens up with him just rhyming some of his lyrics, like the voice and the delivery. Obviously, it sounded like Biggie. I think that was what a lot of people thought. But his delivery, I think, was just kind of what the rap game needed, and obviously it blew up. When he dropped that track, but those lyrics he was rapping.
I thought they did a good job of talking about, because they didn't want to simplify it so much to say he sounded like Biggie. Yeah. They wanted to say that it was a similar tone, but I can't remember who put it best, but they said it may have been DJ Khaled, but they said it made you feel what Biggie made you feel, which may be a higher compliment, which is why he was compared to Biggie quite a bit, and I think they even talked about it was probably a mix of you picking up some of that Belizean in him and that West Indies and that New York, that West Indies and New York in him, kind of that little combination,
Right. So they kind of dive into, 2001. He was sentenced to 10 years, served 8.5. and then he was deported back to Belize. And then it talks about his father,
I
which
believe
felt
so.
like really. I felt like the father aspect was very interesting. Like,
Yeah, agreed.
That was a huge part of this documentary, a huge part of his life, and he didn't use that as an excuse. He didn't use that as, okay, I'm gonna do whatever I want because my dad wasn't around. You know, he said my dad doing what he did gave me more of a purpose, and that's the dad that I needed. I mean, the guy is very deep, very has wisdom, and it's not, you know, similar to other rappers I think we might have listened to. But his father didn't sign his birth certificate, obviously because his fiance at the time. But man, Wilkes, talk about that that large aspect of the documentary.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I took these things I took those. Let me back up. I took this documentary kind of serious in that aspect because me and my father don't have the best relationship. So let's just put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't drag my father through the mud. I don't pick it up in his face why he wasn't there. You know, I'll say, hey, man's got his reasons. You know. So as I heard Shyne talk about his father in this sense, it was just like that didn't keep me from becoming the father I am, or the man in some, you know, areas of, you know, just leading in my children and, you know, work ethic and thing like that. So the signing of the birth certificate thing was, you know, it's funny because I want to say my mom was probably kind of like, nah, you're not gonna put your name on the birth certificate. But it was one of those things where it was me and my father. My father taught me things. And he taught me things from a distance, and he taught me things indirectly, and he taught me things directly. So this really, really spoke to me as I'm watching this. I mean, yeah, I know he was a rap artist and took up Judaism, but the relationship aspect of it between him and his dad, man, it really resonated with me. You know, my grandmother said, you know, Rolanda, that's my mom. She's like, don't speak ill in front of, you know, David's dad, in front of him. You know, let David decide what relationship he wants to have with his father. And I did the same thing with my son. I was like, you know, I can't tell you the relationship to have with your grandfather. You have to develop that relationship. And I mean, to this day, yeah, I'm obsessed with cars because of my dad. You know, it's like, my dad can cook, but he doesn't. I mean, that came from my grandmother, but I noticed my father can cook. My father would paint. My mom would draw. I remember going to art stores and getting canvases with my mother. I remember my dad having his artwork that he did abstract just on the wall and throughout the house. Muscle fitness. The man had magazines all over the place, and that was an elective in the class back in the day when he was in school. You know, so I'm used to those things, and when I see those things, yes, my father contributed to those things. Snatching the motor out of a car and transmissions, that came from my dad. You know, so just seeing this really just kind of spoke to me, and you know, and I get it, and kind of like the dad. I know I'm rushing ahead, but like the dad said, I'm not trying to hatch or make an excuse for anything. You know, I did what I did, and you know, I feel like his dad is probably also pretty appreciative because I don't know if Shyne really just kind of like, you know, I'm not going to harp on those things that may hinder me from my blessings or hinder me from the work. You know, lately, the last few months, the one thing that has been standing out to me, I keep hearing the verse where Jesus said, I must be about my Father's work. So it was in this moment where I felt like Shyne, it may not have been his father's work directly, but my father is in a position of power and leading people. I must indirectly be about my father's work, but bringing it back to full circle. So sorry if I'm long-winded there, but this kind of really spoke to me when I watched this. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and like you said, the dad wasn't making excuses. It was like, I said some things that I shouldn't have said.
Yeah.
But when he got released, you know, his dad was obviously there. His dad was making sure he was taken care of to the best of his ability, giving him the things that he needed.
Right.
And obviously being in jail for that amount of time will definitely do something, to you mentally, physically, which you just didn't look the same. But let's kind of talk about the points. I don't know. Doc, you going to say something?
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, I thought that was the purpose of the show, is for us to give 4 different points of views, which is why they call it the Fourcast. Anyway, the father thing resonated with me as well. Wilkes said, I didn't have the greatest relationship with my father by any stretch of the imagination. There was a few starts and stops along the way, right? In terms of critique and criticizing him or things of that nature, it was hit and miss. There were times where I was in my fields, and I may have, and there were probably times where, because I was a father and didn't do it perfectly, I extended grace, But how Shyne put it, he said, he's not the perfect father, but he's the perfect father that I needed for my purpose. And he gave that sea turtle analogy, and how the sea turtles come up on shore a great distance, dig in the sand, lay their eggs, and then they out of there like last year. And it's up to that little sea turtle to be able to crawl. And this sea turtle, what would you say, Will? It's about the size of a golf ball, maybe. With its little legs, so a golf ball with 4 little legs and a head, and they're having to crawl their way back to the sea.
Big
And he was like, if you pick up that little sea turtle and place him in the sea, in the ocean, you are actually doing a detriment to him, and he will likely not survive because his legs aren't strong enough for the battle ahead, And I think that was a great analogy. So, being from, the ministry we were a part of, they called it blocking purpose. Sometimes if you give a helping hand when it should not be given, spiritually, you're blocking purpose. There is sometimes a purpose for the storm. There's a purpose for the rain, and that's to water the grass.
Yeah. Right. Thanks. Excellent.
The whole concept, the aspect of fathering. I know for the third person, I never knew my dad. My dad died 4 months before I was born. But from what I understand, people who knew him and people who know me, we have a ton in common, like Will said. So I mean, from even my cadence, my voice, definitely my temper. But I get that from both parents, both grandparents. It's a lot. So, I speak about epigenetics on my show, where you're genetically predisposed to do certain things, certain triggers. Set that off. So, like Shyne, and like Will said, it helps him. And Doc said the same thing. It helps you be a better father. If you are a true adult, I'm not gonna say man because you can be a man. If you're a true adult, when you see a gap in your personality, or a hole in your rearing, you traditionally try to fill in that hole with your children, so your children don't have that, almost like a shellacking or paste or putty or Wilkes wear a bondo.
Yes.
And
our talk.
But so you should. So it was. That's why I really enjoyed it more than just personal, personal perspective. It was a life lessons giving kind of deal.
Yeah, absolutely. At moments, sometimes I even forgot that he had a rap career, because it was really just talking to him as, hey, it was almost like the rap career was just an overshadow or something he was doing, but he was just trying to navigate life, and then he was here for a different purpose. It was just like the rap thing was just like a hobby or something. That wasn't his last stop.
Right. He had a bigger purpose.
Yeah. That wasn't his final stop, and it was one of those things, man. Like, talk about a big. Even looking at this and watching him from the young years, and then watching him sit in that chair in front of that temple, it was just like, man, this guy, this is a whole totally different person.
Yeah, let me pull this graphic up here. I mean, this has got to be one of the dopest spots to film a documentary.
Yeah,
he's sitting there with his legs crossed, like,
hey, what else can I do, man?
I've been through it, but I'm here.
Yeah, And I'm sure the temple is a
palm trees
metaphor
behind
for a
them
lot
and
of
all that.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so his young upbringing, so his mom and his father, he was a bastard child. So his dad already had a family, and he didn't really his dad didn't really consider him as family. So he ended up staying in Belize. Then he ended up moving, or his mom was like, "All right, we're gonna move." They ended up moving to New York, and that was kind of how, how his where he grew up. And it talked about just how he was so passionate about everything he did. He had he was in high school, his young years, and then in high school he graduated, and he had a bike route, and he was like, "I'm gonna," he didn't say it, but it was almost like, "I'm gonna be the best messenger delivery person, ever. This is what I'm gonna do." And he was saying there was, times where I was riding a bike on the Brooklyn Bridge, and the raps were just coming to my mind. So I mean, like, to hear his story to me was amazing. I like hearing the backstory of people. How did they get to where they were? And it was really good hearing, his backstory and kind of what brought him to, to where he was. Doc, want to touch on that?
Yeah, I think he did basically say that he wanted to be the best at what he was, in terms of when he was anything that he was doing leading up to it. And just to, for clarification, his mom actually moved to the States first, left him back, in Belize with, I believe it was his aunt and uncle, right? And they were like saying, and we made sure he got the best of schools and, things of that nature. So I think that education was also imperative to who he became, and oftentimes when it's third world countries and things of that nature, we question what the best of education may mean, but I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that you can see in Shyne that it was a quality education, because he was well versed at a number of things, even his ability to be able to observe, interpret, and communicate what it was that he saw, and again, I got you, Wilkes. I got you, baby. So again, observe, interpret, and communicate what you see. See, some folks that they don't see nothing. If you show them, they can interpret it and communicate it. Some folks see something, but they can't interpret what they see. But if they could communicate it. And some folks can observe, interpret what they see, but fall short in its communication. And I think his ability to observe, interpret, and communicate was unparalleled, which is why he became who he is. It's almost like, the dumb person on a comedy show. That's 9 times out of 10 the most intelligent person on the cast. You'll see that a lot of times. I think A-Trap has talked about it before, about how uber intelligent comedians are, because they have to observe, interpret, and communicate what it is they saw. And the best of them can do that. So I'll shut up now. But before I do, let's shout out to the viewers that are on BS3 Network. Much love to you. The viewers that are on the End of the Bench YouTube channel, on the that was the BS3 Twitter channel, the BS3 YouTube channel, the Fourcast YouTube channel, Ben and I's personal Facebook page, the BS3 Network Facebook page, and the BS3 Twitch channel. We appreciate all of you. And those are ways you can check us out. In addition, on Roku TV. Ben, why don't you tell them how they can find us on Roku TV so we can get these subscriptions up, because I was a little short on my light bill.
Yep. So BS3 TV on Roku. You can download the app if you have a Roku TV or device. And then BS3TVLive.com. If you don't have a Roku TV or device, you can find us there. All of the content, it's on demand and live content as well. So definitely check us out. Big Mo, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you.
What's up, Big Mo?
All right, man. So one of the things I didn't know about him is, he got into a situation. I think he was in high school. He was really trying to save someone because somebody got robbed in his neighborhood or something to that effect, and he wanted to, kind of avenge what happened, and then he ended up getting shot by a shotgun, like point blank.
Yeah.
I
bet you A-Trap can really relate to this. When I heard this, I said A-Trap kind of can relate to this one more than any of us here, because by this time his mom had brought him to New York with her. and their neighborhood was getting terrorized by gangsters, for lack of better words, hoodlums or whatever.
Yeah.
And Shyne already displaying a sense of community, right? And sense of community protection, laid hands on these fools to clean up the neighborhood, and he got the best of them, right? Well, he saw them again and on the street somewhere else, and he got the best of them again. So I guess they got tired of getting their ass whooped, went to the trunk, pulled a heater, and came back and, you know, shot him, which I believe in the left shoulder.
Yeah.
You know, on the left side, you just got to be inches away from your
said,
heart, you know. But A-Trap, talk to us a little bit about that, because I'm sure that resonated with you.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen it happen. I mean, you put the paw on somebody, but see, this is '90s. When we were coming up, it has been the knuckle game.
That's where it is.
Right. You would fight, you would lose, and then you move on.
This is the '90s. This is when those weaponry got pushed into the community, and it went from fisticuffs to firearms. So yeah, I've definitely seen this. I've been adjacent to it. I've seen it. I've been adjacent to it. I've been the person who went. It definitely resonated, and like, but
now he trying to play like he wasn't the one who put hands on folks from time to time. Now he ain't telling these stories no more for some reason.
I was a disciple of Martin Luther King.
Get out of here. So I encourage any new viewers, go back and look at some of these prior forecasts.
I used to pray to people on the street.
You used to hand them small green baubles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he said luckily it was a higher caliber shotgun, because he said the way it kicked,
that's right,
it just moved enough.
Yeah,
he said if it was a spot point blank, man.
But again, just another point
like
purpose,
that.
Right? Yeah, another point of purpose, right? You know, if you look at all these small little details that saved his life, that some people think may have cost him his life. You know, even going to jail, right? Even getting in prison for this. Who knows what that took him away from? Right? You know, I think that now, again, I referred to this before, being an eye in the ministry used to be a part of, got a new way of looking at getting a flat. I got a flat on my way to work. I'm not just focusing on the fact that I'm late, I'm going to be late to work. I'm focusing on the fact that who knows what this stopped me from getting into down the road.
Exactly.
Right? And also the blessing that it is that, guess what? I got everything I need to be able to correct this issue. Before, a flat would set you back. We done all been there. A flat could shut you down for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A flat. You follow what I'm saying? So the fact that I can do what I got options as to how I want to handle this. Do I want to sit here on my phone and play while I let somebody else take care of it? Do I want to get out and take care of it myself? Do I want to have it towed? What do I want to do? You know, and so again, sometimes what looks to be a negative situation or a detriment to one's life actually ends up being the thing that saves one life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I used to hear growing up in church, and I haven't heard it as much now, but I mean, I would hear them pray, Lord, thank you for the things seen and unseen.
Didn't understand it, did you?
Right. Yeah.
It was just like, man, you know, like he said, I don't know what's down the road, but you put a halt right here. You stopped me right here. And I'm just going to praise you in this moment, because I don't know what I may have been tangled in, you know, or got into, or something may have happened. So yeah, I would always hear that growing up.
Yeah,
and hearing that in the church, and it was just one of those things where it's like, okay,
it could either be a dead end or a turning point.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Man, we heard that.
Hello.
Exactly.
Part 1, part 2.
And what's beautiful about that? Here's the tie-in with that being: we heard that message from a father.
Yeah.
Who wasn't the greatest of fathers.
Yeah.
You hearing me?
Yeah.
Think about what Wilkes just said about his dad and all the things he got from him, even though he wasn't the greatest of fathers. There's still some residue there. A-Trap didn't even get the pleasure of experiencing his father for so many years, but still got the residual. You know, so again, even from an imperfect father, we got stuff that stick with us like this, and we can go regurgitate it and bless folks.
Absolutely. That's why I said that the verse just sticks with me. It was like, I must be about my Father's work. I cannot allow these things that are going to try to detour me from that. It was just, you know, that has been like echoing. Anything has been just sticking with me lately. And it's just like I must be busy. And it's also funny because I also relate that to the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland. Even though he could not be late, he was still trying to be punctual. He was still trying to. I cannot let this little crazy girl stop me from where I need to be. Mm-hmm. So it was just about, I got to be about this work.
That's a word, Wilson. I'm going to ask you something. I'm going to ask you a favor, man, right here in front of the whole world.
Yeah.
When that resonates with you, shoot a text to me. Ask me every now and then, you about your father's business? Hold me accountable in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm telling you, man, you want to talk about somebody who's guilty of not doing that. I'm more concerned about my business. I'm more concerned about my feelings. I'm more concerned about my agenda, about how what my perception is and what my perspective is and how it's impacting me instead of being about his business. So I'm telling you right now, that's a word and a half.
Yeah, it's been
asking.
It's
when
been
you feel it, man, shoot it, because that ain't for nothing. It might not even be for you, man. You know, man. So that's why I'm saying when you get it, every now and then, just say, "Hey, you about your father's business," and that's all I need to know. That'll be enough to nudge me on track. That's one of the excuses we make is time, right? And the reason why we don't get to talk to folks. I bet you the reason why me and A-Trap don't talk more is because when we do, it's an hour gone. It wasn't even intended to be that way. It was just, hey, I got 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden, I done started preaching. You know, so that's a quick little way to where we ain't giving up no time. You just shoot us, hey, you about your father's business, and it would say so much, and it would help us redirect and hold me accountable.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And when you look at Shyne, his perspective was kind of like what we're talking about. He didn't allow getting shot to deter him from his goal. He didn't allow going to jail. I mean, it did set him back. You know, obviously you feel you're affected, but he didn't allow it to okay, woe is me, and I'm just going to be, my life is over.
But even his partner talked about how even when he went and visited him, he was like he was never down.
Yeah,
the dude was always head held high. I can't remember his name. He was pretty prominent on this, but I don't forget who that was.
And that makes you think that's something from his dad. You know. I mean, it makes you think.
Absolutely.
And now let's talk about the mom and her aspect in it, where she, you know, obviously she wanted the best for him. And when he kind of got closer to, you know, signing a deal, she was like, I've seen what happened to two of the most prominent rappers ever that got murdered. So now I see my son and he's wanting to go into this.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with it. Yeah. Now, you know, I think he was more so focused on this is what I want to do. He was rapping for everybody, anybody he's seen. If you've seen a Def Jam truck driving around, he'd rap for him. But
and she, I mean, when he got $2 million, she was the only one not happy. She was like, "You was gonna go to school, you know, like, you need to get a degree." Yeah,
right. Wilkes, you want to add something on that?
No, it was really. It was interesting because I thought that was pretty crazy. Well, not crazy, but I thought it was interesting that like something like that is still going on to this day, where it's like I have to leave my family behind because I see something else that I need somewhere else I need to get to establish, to bring you a foot to this place. You know, it's like, you know, I've got to go and, you know, do these things, and I can't do it here because there's just nothing here for me to do it that's going to get you in that spot or those resources. I know it, you know, who knows? Maybe she didn't realize that indirectly, once again, she was helping him. But once he got to those resources, they wasn't the best elements, but I think once he got in those areas and knew how to navigate certain things, he just took off from there, you know. Like my grandma and my mom would always say, and I never understood this, you don't need all these friends because everybody's not your friend.
Right, exactly.
So
I want your little friends.
Yeah. Trust me, I always heard if you had to be alone in high school, if you had to be alone in school, that's fine. Have you one or two friends, but everybody's not going to be for you. Right. You know, so it was one of those things where I think she put him in a place where, hey, he learned as he went. And also, like Doc said, he was still a people of the community. He's like, hey, I'm not gonna let y'all jump this person right here or whatever. You know, I'm not gonna have you doing that. You know, because these raps is just a hobby for me, but I got something bigger for this. as the song says, I'm gonna run on to see what the end's gonna be. So it's like one of those things where it's just like, hey, his mom definitely had a big, huge anchor in centering him there as well too. And I don't think not that she displayed it. I don't know. Yeah, she said some things about the father, but I don't think she tried to drag him down. I think she was about her business in the business. Right. It's like, I gotta make a way. If I'm not gonna get that help, I'm gonna have to do this myself, and this is what I want. So, but sorry, I kind of ran on. But
you good. Yeah. But yeah, I think she seemed like, I need to do what's best for him, put him in the best situation.
Yeah.
A-Trap.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Wilt. One aspect that it may be just me reading between the lines. Maybe she just didn't want to deal with Shyne. If we remember, those two rappers get murdered. My man Puff was right in the center of that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Puff is the reason. One of Puff's homeboys is the reason Suge Knight's homeboy was dead. Puff was the dude who gave Biggie the go-ahead to go to L.A. It was no secret. So why would I want, even though I want my child to be a rapper, he signs with this label. It's just like simultaneously.
Yeah.
If Shyne and his family were in L.A., quite sure his mother wouldn't have wanted him to sign with Death Row.
Right.
So, but as you guys have spoken about, your path is your path. Everything is you are a sum total of everything that happens around you, that has happened before you, and is happening to you. So when you look at these things, you have to realize that no matter what it is, unless you want to veer off the path, it's still going to take you there. I got my homeboy, my man, Dana Ballard. Dana was accused of murder and did an extensive amount of time. And one time when he was released, I hired him. And we were just sitting up chewing the fat at lunch. And we started talking about the situation. He was like, you know what, B? The path I was on, I might not be here talking to you if I wouldn't have got arrested. Hey. But I'm going to tell you, it took me 7 years to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And he did double, 20. So, and now he is married, has 2 children, and is doing wonderfully. So, as you guys stated, if your path is your path, sometimes some things that take you out of your path just to keep you alive, and then you get back onto the path and go home.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Another quick thing that it always reminds me of, I know we don't like traffic, but when I was growing up, there was a sermon that I heard at my childhood church, and the pastor was saying, you may not see what's in front of you because you're back here in traffic. And sometimes if you just stick with that traffic, eventually when you get to the end of where that issue was, it opens up, it clears up, and you can keep going. Now I get it. But it was one of those things where it was just like, man, I kind of understand. It's kind of like we get bogged down or we get bottlenecked into a situation, and it's just like, man, we moving real slow through this, but what am I learning through this? Or am I learning patience through this? Am I learning trust through this moment? And it's one of those things where once you get to the end of that and it opens back up, and it was just like, man, I had to go through something just to get to this place, but it gave me a different outlook. It opened something, in my spiritual mind where it's just like, wow, I didn't see that in my flesh, but in my spirit, man, I saw that.
That's what's up.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Oh, facts. So Shyne was one of those, rappers that he was talking to this lady, I forgot what her name was, but she had connections in the music industry, and she was like, he just had, a lot of people just saying he just had raw talent. I mean, you connected to, the sports world when they got somebody that's kind of like an all-around athlete, and they're like, man, this dude is just raw talent. So all he just needs is some molding and some directing.
Yeah.
And she was like, you need to tell a story. And then a couple of weeks later, he came back and he rapped, and she was like, okay, man, you got it. And then the story about Jay-Z, which I felt was interesting, he ended up giving him a tape, and he said, you got your gun on you? And I was like, where is this going? He was like, you got your gun on you? was like, nah, I don't have it on me. Like, this
your man's?
Whose man's is this? He's like, yeah, if you don't like this, you can come back and shoot me. And he ended up throwing the tape out the window. But I felt like that he was willing to do whatever, like whatever it took.
I wonder oh no, that was Cuba. I was gonna say, I wonder if he's connected with Shyne on a political sense lately. If they've been to Belize, sometimes he was kind of, elbow to elbow with some politicians, but I don't know. I hadn't really heard anything about it. But
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, let's hope not.
yeah, not in this moment right now.
Yeah.
A-Trap,
talk about that.
What's that? Him being connected with politicians?
No, it's raw talent.
Raw talent.
Yeah, Shyne,
the bidding war and all that, which was crazy.
Man. Shyne had that thing, man, and like that lady told him, if you not, it's this line in the KRS song, one song called "Out of Here," and he mentions at the beginning of the song, he said, "You can't write a song, so your career won't last long." Shyne showed her, I can write a song. I'm not just spitting. You got spitters, you got party rockers. You got MCs who paint pictures, and you got some people who could do it all. And Shyne was one of those dudes. If I need to spit, I'll just spit. If I need to paint you a picture, I'll paint you this picture. And I'm quite sure the rhymes that he was kicking at Jay-Z were B-boy rhymes. It's like I'm gonna shoot this at you, and I'm gonna let you know how dope I am. And that's why Jay-Z was like, yeah, whatever, because Jay-Z heard it. I don't care what nobody ever talked to Jay at the end of this, but it was this one dude, God rest his soul, DJ Clark Kent. Clark Kent was Jay-Z man. Clark Kent is the dude who introduced Jay to a lot of people. And if Clark Kent, knowing Clark Kent, if Clark Kent said he had it, Shyne had it. And that's one of the beautiful things about the hip hop environment. It's like you drew the parallel to sports. It is just like sports. You can sit back and go, oh yeah. Because I remember there's a song called Live at the Barbecue with Nas. Yeah. He was the rapper Nas at that time. And after that verse, he first of all, you usually let the weakest MC start off a song. And that was the second time in a posse cut that the dude that was just an unknown start off a party cut, and both of them still rhyming. That's Nas and that's Master Ace. And when Nas, I still remember the song. He's Streets Disciple, my rifle's a trifle. I shoot bugs on my brain just like a rifle. Stampede the stage, lead a microphone flip, play Mr. Tony, play Mr. Tuffy. I'm on some pretty tone shit. From that time, the very next line is what set Nas apart. He said, I'm a verbal assassin. My rhymes were just pleasing. When I was 12, I went to hell snuffing Jesus. Nas set the whole hip-hop community on his ear with that line. And from that point on, Nas been Nasty Nas. He's been Nas. So forth. So Master Ace did the same thing on the song called... It's one of the most famous posse cuts in the history. This was probably the very first posse cut. The Symphony by Marley Marley Control. So Shyne had that. If Clark Kent was co-signing them, and that's one of the beautiful things back then. Everybody get mad because we got the gatekeepers, but when you had gatekeepers of the character of Clark Kent, you needed a Clark Kent to go. He got it. Get him. And that's what happened. Chris Lighty, Kevin Lyles, everybody was on Nas. I forgot the dude named Leo Coin.
Right.
So yeah, it was just one of those things, and I remember that. I remember that bidding war. Like, where's this music? Because that was unheard of.
Yeah. And Nori was saying the same thing. It's like this dude ain't released nothing. It's a bidding war.
Right. Ain't much going on. What we talking about? Yeah.
Right. But I mean, yeah, when you look at all those people that you mentioned, and I was in this documentary, like they knew that he had it, and so he ended up signing a publishing deal, and then he ended up
unheard of
bidding war. Right, exactly. So I mean, and now it just makes you think, like, if what if, but his, even when you say what if, like what he's doing now is 50 times bigger than if he was rapping. Like the people that he's helping, and that he's helping to liberate, and all the things that he's doing is bigger than what his rap career would have been. So, obviously, like what we've been talking about. I mean, it's a purpose for everything.
Yeah.
So he ends up signing with Diddy, and then he ended up going to this thing with Mace. I don't remember that. I don't know. Any one of y'all remember that?
I don't.
You remember that, A-Trap? Go ahead. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I mean, see, I was still on the ones and twos at this time. I was working. I was working with Reuters, and then you come home and you do your music thing. I was just your thing, and that's the beauty of hip hop culture. It's like sports again. It's the parallel. You can be 400 years old. You're gonna love football, baseball, basketball. You can be 400 years old. You're gonna still love the ones and twos, the jiggers. You want to hit it, you hear it, and you hear it. And so you were immersed in these things because it's like a pipeline. And then this is the beginning of the internet. So now people, you're on these message boards. You on what? It's I can't think of it. But everybody was on there. That's how I discovered Lil Brother. 2:00 in the morning, somebody dropped me a Lil Brother song. I'm like, what? And
Napster and
yeah. So you hear about these little things and you hear about these riffs, and I was privileged at that time as well because my job was insane. Like I used to handle. I'm in Chicago and be back and forth from Chicago and New York. And my clients were in Europe. So by the time I got to work at 9, my clients was leaving at 11. I was just chilling. So I'm literally downloading hundreds of thousands of dollars at work. And then I got the best virus software stopping it. So playing. So it was just one. I just had the privilege of doing that because they would fly me to New York. Now I'm in the streets of New York. Shout out to Saba if you're watching. But and then it was just it was a beautiful time for me.
Yeah, Apple Music before Apple Music.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then you owned it when you downloaded it. It was yours. You had the actual file.
Yeah.
Nowadays you don't really own.
Nah.
Yeah, you don't really own.
Yeah, there's been
you buy the album.
Exactly. And just to kind of veer off real quick, there's been songs I put in the playlist. You go back a few weeks, a month later, and it's like, nope. Yeah, I'm like, damn.
That's where I used to get it from.
Yeah. It was that was when I was in college, man. We used to have dudes that would make mixtapes, download it, sell them. I mean, that was like people's hustle back in college. That was a great time for hip hop. The Dynasty album by Jay-Z, man, that whole era. It was music in school. That was it.
Yeah,
it was all pretty much came down.
Yeah, that's why I said shout out to Sada, because even when I would go home, Sada, he was this dude, Senegalian brother. He was sending me and my man DJ Feelgood. If you're watching, I Feelgood might be watching. He would send us music and insane.
Sada Nimsi?
No, that's his name. He's from Senegal. His name is Sada.
Remember the Golden Child, Brother Nimsi, Sada
Nimsi. Yeah, that's just all wrong with it. That's his name, Sada.
So talk about the song "Bad Boys." I know, Doc, you didn't know a lot about his other songs, but that Barrington Levy on that song, like that made the song.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
What's funny, what struck me about that song I think it was Puff. They said was saying we need to get that guy on that song. That guy that be going and he said John knew exactly. He said Barrington Levy. That's what struck me is that he immediately knew who the dude was. Yeah. That's what struck me more than anything.
Yeah, and it was kind of crazy because he was like, when he heard the call, he thought it was for Diddy.
Right.
He was like, nah, it's for this other artist, Shyne. So he was a little disappointed
until he heard the beat.
Yeah, but man, that song is forever. Now, Barrington Levy's he's Jamaican. I thought maybe he was.
I was getting Belly vibes from that. I feel like they were pulling from that video, but I was like, this is like inspired by the song because that scene when they were in Jamaica and they're running up. Of course, it could have been the car too, but the kids are running up to the car. And it's the white Mercedes pushing through Jamaica, and I'm just like, man, I think Belly must have got this from that.
No, that was the second idea.
Okay.
That's the second night because, like you said, Meek dragging on the floor. That was supposed to be Puff saying that. They were supposed to be back at the club, killing that. And when they got in trouble, they now no, not him in the video.
Full stop. Yeah, full stop.
Yeah, but I mean that song is probably at least one of the top Bad Boy songs ever.
Yeah, it's timeless.
Yeah, especially with that feature on there. So the album, and there was conversation of the album not even dropping, because of everything that went down. I didn't know that part either. I mean, just imagine if the album never dropped. I mean, and it was just that single. I mean, what that would have looked like, what that would have been. But there was people on the label on Bad Boy that was like, no, his album needs to come out.
Right.
And so the shooting happens December 27, 1999. This is when Diddy was dating J-Lo. They, pulling up in the Navigator, and they're all in the club, and again, Shyne didn't reveal who it was, didn't give details into it.
Yeah.
But you could just tell based on what they were showing and in this documentary that it wasn't really on his side. His lawyers wasn't really on his side. It didn't seem like I think they gave enough effort. And then you had Johnny Cochran on the other side. Obviously, we've done a ton of we've done the OJ series and all that, and he's coming off of that. So talk about that back and forth, Wilkes. With Johnny Cochran on one side, and then these other guys. I don't know what their names even were.
Yeah, they were. Oh gosh, I don't remember. But apparently they've been around for a while. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting thing because I feel like there was somebody else high profile before. Was that right after OJ? I feel like he was just coming off. Maybe he did just come off of that trial, but I feel like
a bunch of trials. He did Mike. He did OJ. He did.
Okay, because he had Mike. Yeah. So
he did Snoop too.
Yeah.
He did have Snoop. Yeah, he did have Snoop. So that's why I said he was. I got that.
He was on roll.
I got that vibe that we did with Jamie Foxx when he was playing that lawyer and he had his own plane. And I was just like, man, this is Johnny Cochran right here, man. Like that was pretty awesome. Like to see that because even they were like, oh man, they bringing in Johnny Cochran. Like what? It was like star. To him it was just like a big deal. It's like we can't go up against Johnny Cochran, but they did. But it was just kind of like, man, he's that guy right now, and getting people off, and everybody's like, calling him up. You're like, hey man, we saw what you did, blah blah blah. But yeah, that kind of back and forth was pretty crazy. I didn't think they were going to touch on that, but I guess you needed that.
Yeah, you had to. Yeah,
to kind of tie in that story. But yeah, crazy moment. Crazy moment.
Yeah. Doc, touch on that.
Nothing to add. Nothing to add.
Appreciate it. All right, Poetic, thank you for tuning in. She says hello all. Thank you.
Hello.
All right, so we obviously and it seemed like the trial had both of them were on trial at the same time. That seems like odd, right? They normally do it that way.
Yeah, they can. Sometimes you can request a separation, of clients when there are multiple people charged,
right.
You can request individual trials, but it happens both ways. And he probably thought going into it, that was the best way, considering,
on my back. Yeah.
Puff had the money, he's going to bring in the best of attorneys. Our goals and agenda is going to be aligned, and it wasn't until, the trial started to proceed that, that became, it became evident that was not the case at all, And I think his mama was one of the first people that recognized it. They ain't for you, partner.
Right. You getting set up. You the fall guy.
Yeah, and his attorney, they think his attorney was working with Puff's camp.
Right.
They even said, it seemed like his attorney was throwing the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was kind of like, man, do I need to represent myself? Kind of because he wasn't really trying to get it. Didn't seem like he was trying to get him off the case.
Yeah.
Nas did a song about it. He even mentioned, he said, I don't like the way P. Diddy did Shyne with different lawyers. Same thing happened to Tupac a few years before this. What's his name? Haitian Jack. Haitian Jack separated his attorneys with that sexual assault.
Right. Yeah.
So Haitian Jack did the same thing. It's a common practice, man. It's just some people when you're dealing with snakes, man.
That's all the way to put it.
Going to jail.
You're dealing with people that's gonna look out for themselves.
Right. Oh yeah.
You on my label, but if it was me or you, it's gonna be you.
Exactly. But hey, here's another instance, Ben. As you said, I wonder what would have happened. If they'd only released one song, and this story, outside of the political aspects, runs parallel. And right around the same time, my man 50 Cent was going through the exact same thing. He had just got shot up. Shyne got shot. Shyne had a song out, called Bad Boy. He made it funny. Had a song called How to Rob.
What's up, Jungle?
How to Rob an industry guy, and it was supposed to be in jest. And everybody in New York was mad at 50 for that. They were talking about putting hands on him because he named a bunch of rappers, but it was in funny. If you ever want to get a chance, if you want to hear the song, it's called How to Rob an Industry N-Word. And he did it with the mad rapper, so you would really think you would assume it was fun, but it wasn't received as funny. And the chorus was, "This ain't serious. These jokes will make you delirious."
Right.
That was the hook.
Now they will believe it.
And while he was in jail, like you said, man, just seeing everybody else blow up, seeing 50, seeing Jay-Z still do his thing, and I'm in here, which the album ended up getting released. Obviously, like we all know, when you either dead or in jail, your album sales are higher.
Yeah.
That's just nobody somebody kill you.
J.D. Kidd said in one of his songs, "Dead rappers get better promotion."
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It's true, man.
It's true. And it's no line there. So I was in jail.
Shout out to Mo 3.
Oh yeah. Right.
R.I.P. baby.
Yeah. He also released another album while he was in jail, Godfather Buried Alive, which he had some artists on there too. And that album was
deep.
Album was good too. Yeah, good. You want to add something about?
Yeah, just the title, man. Godfather Buried Alive. He was like, "I'm still alive, but I got buried." That's just that's so deep, man.
Yeah,
so deep.
Yeah.
The second guy to go hot in the joint. Slick Rick was the first.
Oh, wow.
His second album released, he was locked up for shooting somebody.
Yeah, that was the last time Shyne could rap, according to Charlemagne the God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're aligned. Please comment so I don't have to.
No. Disco double eights.
So Derek Jackson, thank you for tuning in.
My man. This is my man.
All right. So Wilkes, the turtle analogy, you pointed that out like last week.
It blew my mind because, like I said, this to me, yes, he had a rapping career, and I remember the rapping career, but because of the relationship I have with my father and the things that has been kind of going on for the past few weeks and years, that turtle analogy was just like, it's the sink or swim situation. It's like I've got to build up these tendons. I've got to build up these fins of mine in order to brace I'm literally going into the storm of these waves. Mm-hmm. It's either going to sink me or I'm going to sail right through them with no problem. Mm-hmm. And we all know when you look at a nature show, you know how the aquatic life and how they cut through that water like it's just nothing. But if you can't navigate that storm or it will take you under. It'll be your grave. It'll be pretty much your downfall. But yeah, I thought that it blew my mind because it was just like, there were some underlining things that were trying to weave themselves in to make me, I don't want to say hate, but it was like despise my father. But I had to remember the words of my grandmother. Like my mom, I never heard them speak a negative word about my dad. Mm-hmm. it was up to me to decide that relationship.
Yeah.
So after receiving that actually just kind of kept me away from judging that man. Okay, so you weren't there when I was born. You weren't there when I was growing up. But when I got a certain age of when it was comfortable for you to be that father, I respect that. I'm not judging you. But how many nights I wish those headlights coming down the street were my dad, because I fall asleep on the couch and my mom's got to wake me up and say, "Hey, go get in bed." That's okay. That's my scar, but I still honor him. I love my dad to death. Like I said, he's given me things indirectly and not directly. And to this day, like, it's just one of those things where I appreciate him being there. I appreciate him showing me how to use a wrench. I appreciate him teaching me about life and things in general. Yeah, didn't say he was great. Who is? Never put him on a pedestal. But I took those things and I shaped those things and I used those things. It's funny because I was watching. I know this is kind of strange, but I was watching the opening of Twin Peaks. There's a scene in Twin Peaks where, as we say, iron sharpens iron. This machine is sharpening this saw at every angle, so it will be able to cut. I like the word of God. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
That tool made sure that saw blade was sharp on all sides to cut through that log with no problem. So it was one of those things in life where it's like you're given those tools that are sharpening you on each side, so you could be able to cut through whatever situation that may befall you. But it's one of those things where I took that moment with that turtle analogy. I could have stayed right there because it was just like, my mom didn't do it. My dad definitely didn't do it. But while I'm saying he definitely didn't do it, I'm not blaming him because he didn't do it. Because now it's up to me to pick up the rock or the ball and run with it.
Well, at least your daddy had some headlights to come down the street to look for.
Hey, you're right. At least.
But you know what, Brooks? Maybe your mom and dad didn't do it, because remember, you were saying it sharpens both sides, right?
Right, exactly.
Sharpen both sides. Maybe, like a lot of us, we get, unless it is a two-parent home, one of those sides is left alone. And maybe your dad not being there and then stepping in when you needed it and stepping away.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that was the coming out of the egg and then your mom.
Yeah.
So maybe he did. It's just a different way.
Right.
Oh,
I accept that 100%. And that's how and thank you for that, H-Rap, because that's kind of like how I felt about it. I never once just felt any kind of like resentment against him, because he was there at the time. I go spend the night and we hang out and he taught me things, but it was one of those things where it's like I'm not expecting him to be the prize dad, and that's okay. I don't need that, because this is what gave me that edge. This is what kind of I'm a little rough at times. Ben knows this, but
this is the mayhem.
Yeah, exactly. So I proudly take that, but I'm definitely with it.
And it's ironic that you mentioned Twin Peaks. I got that point of view from This Is Us with Sterling K. Brown. His dad his mom gave him away. Well, his mom died and his dad took him to the firehouse. He was raised by a white family. Yeah. And then, he became this la-di-da guy.
Right.
And his dad's like, man, I was protecting you from me.
Right.
You won't be nothing around me.
Hey, I just want to say something too. I finished Bel Air. I'm waiting on season 4. But that Marlon Wayans, that relationship, Marlon Wayans playing that role.
Absolutely.
Man, let me tell you, man.
Spectacular.
Hey, Wilson, I told you it was good.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was good. I finally finished it. I'm waiting on season 4, but Marlon Wayans playing the dad. Oh my gosh, man!
Hey, and now all somebody got to do is finish Lovecraft.
Lovecraft. Yeah, this guy.
Hey, I'm almost there.
Who it is? But.
It's somebody on the show. It's not me.
Yeah, exactly. But
shout out to Sterling
Yeah.
K. Brown, man. I think underrated actor.
Yeah.
And he's also in this new series.
Paradise.
Paradise.
A1.
Have you watched it already?
A1. I'm on the third season. Third episode.
Okay.
Woo.
Hey,
Crazy.
This how good it is, man. It's one of the most goodest shows on TV.
The goodest.
That's how good it is. You can't even say, man, this is a great show. You gotta say,
Yeah, man. I wouldn't. I thought it was just gonna be something like, oh, it's on. No, this is like, oh man, this is crazy.
This is next level creativity.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Wow.
It seemed like the lady that did Scandal seemed like one of her.
No. Shonda Rhimes. No.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, this is out of sight. Out of sight, Jack.
Somebody smoked a lot of weed when they made.
Yeah, hella.
Yeah, it's considered sci-fi.
Okay.
Hey, Ben, I'm telling you, dog, you better grab hold of this. Get
on in there, Ben.
You can do it in 2025. It's still going on.
Yeah.
Right. All right, so let's round this out. The honorable Shyne. So obviously he gets out trying to find himself, and he turned to Judaism while he was in jail. You know, they're saying a lot of people that are in jail, they Muslim or Christian.
Yeah,
and he chose Judaism, which more so speaks to him, and he was different. You know, he didn't want to follow along with the rest of the crowd, so he ends up getting a release. He ends up doing some rapping, but it just wasn't the same anymore. Didn't have that same it factor anymore. And then he was going after
you
other
don't
artists.
talk about gross is when Puff was on the Breakfast Club or whatever it was called at the time. Or Dime Wars, I don't know what it was called, but Charlamagne the God was there talking about how bad his music was, and they were playing it and laughing at him.
Right.
Yeah, and then that other cat, the bald-headed guy, I forget his name.
DJ Envy.
No, not on that show. He has a completely different radio show. Bald-headed guy looks like the Crypt Keeper.
Was
Big Boy?
Huh?
Big Boy.
Oh, Big Boy.
I don't know his name.
Was that the guy that said he wanted to fly down to Belize or something like that?
I don't know. At the radio show,
his name's Big Boy. He's out of LA.
Yeah, they were like, I can't remember who was on the show. It may have been
it was a game.
The game was on there, right? And they were laughing at it, and I just thought that was just, considering the circumstances, that was just ugly, creepy to me,
Right.
It really was.
Yeah.
Like you just go, I'm trying to claw my way back, but you just go kind of keep me.
But then Charlamagne the God come out later, and you're praising, him after you.
Right. He was in this documentary, wasn't he?
Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Yeah. And that goes to there's a song that on Killer Mike's album, and Minister Farrakhan is on there, and he's like, you see somebody that's down, and don't kick them while they down.
Mm-hmm.
That could be you.
Yeah.
So look at it in the eyes of, if that was you, would you want somebody kicking you while you was down? And he was doing it on his own. I don't think he was on a label at that point.
No.
He was pretty much doing it on his own.
He lived in Jerusalem for 2 years. That's big. I mean, you're a long way from home.
Yeah.
And that's the journey into farming.
It wasn't great, but what's the purpose of I mean, anybody who listened could tell that. You didn't need to state the obvious,
Right.
There's no future in it.
Yeah. All right, so he ends up changing his name to Moses, and he ends up coming back to Belize and getting into politics. And then there was already because his dad was in politics and his uncle, they end up helping him get it. I mean, either way, you could tell the impact just from the footage that they were showing.
Yeah, they said they didn't help him sleep, but they made the bed as comfortable as they possibly could.
Yeah,
can't sleep on this. That's on you.
All I can tell you.
Yeah, but that's the conversation of nepotism, which LeBron and Bronny and all the different things that we've heard. But if you wanted to put your son in the best situation, now if you gave him that situation and he failed at it, that's different. But obviously he had the situation, took advantage of it, and he's still doing what he's doing. So All right, so let's get into some final thoughts. And Mike rating the Honorable Shyne. We're gonna go to Wilkes first.
Well, I got to give it a 5, and like I said, it's definitely from a sentimental, personal, which I don't mind sharing. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the rap portion of this was significant. It was understanding, but I was more fixed and hooked on the father-son family relationship, and then also with the uncle and aunt. But yeah, it just resonated with me. And of course, like I told Ben, the turtle analogy was, yeah, I was like, wow, maybe, things have, we always say things happen for a reason. The Bible says nothing is new under the sun. So it's definitely one of those things where it's like, oh, I get it. Wow, how did I miss it? Maybe my selfishness made me miss it, Maybe my pride made me miss that. But at the end of the day, I really enjoyed this. Talk about a significant turnaround. I mean, it was almost like
360.
3 different people in one show and one documentary. The rapper, the Judaism, and then the politician, but still with his faith. So it was a lot going on there. But enjoyed it. Gave it a 5. 5 for my sentimental reasons, my personal reasons, but it was done very well.
Are you or Ben gonna do your hair like he did when he converted to Judaism?
I'll probably go there first because
that ain't gonna work for me.
Going on, so I could probably
it ain't growing here or here or here. Ain't
It's
going
a no for me, dog.
I'm on a back 9 right here, but under par though.
Yeah. And this, what you just saying that, Wilkes, it made me think of Tupac. Like if Tupac lived, would he? I think he would have been in some type of form of politics because he was just.
I'm pretty sure
fighting for the people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I can see that.
All right, A-Trap.
I'm with Wilkes. I gave it a 5. I could relate. Like Wilkes, the sentimental. I related to it because when me and you met, I was doing sports and I do something totally different. So yeah, totally relate.
Yeah. All right, for me, Shyne was definitely one of my favorite artists. During that era, like I said, during that college era, whatever he came out with, I was listening to. I was kind of following along, seeing when he was getting out, and to see where he is now, it's amazing to see the. I'm not even gonna say the growth. I think he already had it in him. It was just like the opportunity that he needed, and I think the time really to spend like alone and diving into his faith and what he believes in. So I'm gonna go with a 5 as well. I think it was up there. All right.
I was at a 4 when I first, when it first ended, and wife immediately asked me what you got, and a 4 was where I was at. Now, we talk about where we start and where we are, so after the show, I'm probably at a 4.5, with some elements that are pointed out, mainly being Wilkes in the father situation and whatnot. But so I'm probably at a 4.5 to end things. But with 3 5s and a 4.5, I think you basically put his average at a 5. So, but I just, like I said, for him to come full circle, and him to be in a position to disassociate from Diddy due to the Cassie situation, I thought was a bit of irony. And where he is as a politician, I don't think we've heard the last of him because he's on the opposition party and he is going against the elite in Belize who have probably been getting backroom deals for the longest from developers, which is helping to keep Belizeans impoverished. And Belize, technically a third world country. I don't know that all of the resources or all of the funds from those resources are being distributed, to the infrastructure of the country or the people, so I don't think we've heard the last of him, and I think he may have a target on his back as a result. Because anytime you fight against the powers that be, that could be the case. So, but I felt another note I made is that same pain and sadness I felt at the end for Luther after seeing that documentary, I feel for Shyne. Yeah. It was a very familiar pain and sadness that I had for Luther not being able to find love that I did for Shyne having to go through what he went through.
Yeah. All right. What's the critics?
I don't know. Ask the critics. I wasn't able to find, when sometimes when they're on Hulu or those platforms, they don't necessarily give them as easily as it does when you just Google it. So I didn't pick up what the critics gave it.
Okay. Looks like IMDb 7.1 out of 10.
Okay.
And then look like a 4.8 out of 5. It's only got 3 ratings. This is on Google. All right. So as we continue music review month, next week we will do this guy right here, Prince. Now I don't know which documentary we're doing because there's a couple out there. I mean, we're gonna have to decide, but whatever one we do.
Hopefully the latest one, I would think, right?
Dearly Beloved.
Huh?
I was gonna say Dearly Beloved.
There's one called Purple Rain, REIGN. I think it's on Apple, not Apple, Prime.
Yeah, it looks like there's one called A Final Secret.
Yeah, I think that one's talking about like his
2023
philanthropy, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know because I noticed when we had the kind of the itinerary of what was happening what was going on, that we just said Prince, but we didn't know what documentary, right? We didn't.
Yeah,
the Purple Rain one is pretty good.
Yeah, there's also one called My Name Is Prince. My Name Is on Amazon Prime too. We'll just have to decide that. And my concern with the Purple Rain one, maybe does it focus just on Purple Rain? You know what I'm saying? Just what happens surrounding that.
Right.
You've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It has different people being interviewed, and I think the My Name Is was just a guy talking in the background with different pictures and stuff.
And Netflix was gonna come out with one that they canceled.
They canceled. Yeah, I don't know.
And they said due to serious allegations about his personal life surfacing the footage. So
yeah, but Netflix was gonna go in. Netflix was gonna try to put it all out there. You know how they do. Chill out, Netflix. Chill out.
All right. So Prince documentary next week. What's coming up tomorrow on the end of the bench? What's coming up? Yesterday.
Yeah, today I just talked about a gift horse. This could potentially be a curse. Well, basically, a gift from the devil is potentially a curse. And we're going to talk about people getting vouchers for education, and it's 270 schools that are available to over 700,000 children, which the math, and because one of the better parts, one of the benefits of going to private school is a smaller class. So it's a smaller class, so your teacher gets better attention, and I talked about that. And I talked about how if you're going to play this game of life, AKA politics, AKA entertainment, AKA just community, you must learn the rules. Learn the rules to the game before you play. You didn't learn how to play spades by losing. You learn how to play spades by knowing the order of the cards, knowing the ranking of the cards, and then knowing what you could and could not do. We as a community and working class people in the United States of America do not know how to play this game called politics. And that's why we get screwed, because we think that your job as your civic duty is, okay, I voted, go ahead, do what you're supposed to do. No, it's I voted. Like me and my son talked about it directly after the show. I mean, literally, I ended it. By the time everything clucked down, he was calling me. And I was like, look, you have to know. I said, name 2 tools you need to build a house. He said, a hammer and a nail. I said, exactly. Voting is literally, you're building a house hammer and nail, but you need saws, you need drills, you need putty make, things to spread the putty and things like that. I said, you need that stuff. And the hammer and the nail is literally your hand is the hammer, the thing is the nail, bam. Now the process starts. And until we realize that's when the process starts, we're screwed, because we have this perception that, oh, Ben is a Republican, he's not going to do my bidding. But if 200,000 or 300,000 of us say, hey, Ben, this is what we want, Ben has to do our bidding. But we don't do that. We just allow Ben to do what he's going to do. Ben stuffing his pockets, Ben doing the bidding at a party, and Ben is screwed in essence. So,
yeah.
I mean, the constituents are screwed because we don't know. We are the boss of Ben, but we just go, oh, well, it's a Republican president. We ain't going to get nothing done because we're Democrats and the Republicans are in control, but the people are controlled. So,
yeah.
And don't be niggers.
I literally said that on the show today. I literally said that when I did the Spades reference.
How many books you got?
I said, hey, you really don't want to
read impossible.
Yeah,
don't be a nigger.
All right, Queen 3 and King tomorrow.
I have a very fun show tomorrow that I'm super excited about. It is called School Days. And we will have, for the first time on Queen 3 and King history, 2 professional comedians. We will have John Yogi Lewis, and we will have Mike James of the Bar comedy special, Southern Comfort, and who also made his Grand Ole Opry debut last year. So we'll have him on with John Lewis discussing those things about your fight in school, your first girlfriend, your favorite aspects of school, your worst aspects of school. So that ought to be fun, getting those gentlemen together, mixed with a little Queen and King action. This ought to be fun tomorrow. So 7:00 tomorrow on all BS3 network channels and sources and platforms.
Nice.
All right. And a side note, Ali Sadiq. I've been watching some of his stand-up.
He's starting to produce other people right now.
Yeah, man.
So
hey,
Domino Effect, you've watched all of them?
Yeah. Well, the first one.
Watch them in order. Yeah, watch them in order. And now he's got one out there where his Ali Sadiq presents some other guy. So I want to check
Marcus Wiley.
Yeah.
Didn't he have a movie with? If I'm thinking about it, didn't he have a movie with Issa Rae? Not, it wasn't a movie, but he produced it was something on there. It was an early
Ali Sadiq.
Yeah, but I thought he produced a movie or something that he was in.
Maybe.
I would recommend.
The dude is funny.
I would recommend Marcus Wiley to anybody, and he has the thing that Doc was referencing. It's called Marriage is Like Surgery. And he has these parallels with marriage and health. And man, it was dope. It was super dope.
Yeah. All right, A-Trap, go ahead and close us out.
I got the money. I ain't getting it to you. So if I owe you something, get it from Doc.
Peace.